Hello again, my friends. I'm Coral. Welcome back to my channel. There is a leaf blower somewhere on my street, and it's kind of loud, so if you hear it, I'm sorry. Today I'm here with a tag video. I really like doing these ones that fit in with holidays or seasons or things going on this time of year. So today I'm here with the Thanksgiving book tag. I found this on a blog called Lauren's Bookshelf. It wasn't clear if she created this tag. If she didn't, there's no credit for the original. So if this isn't an original book tag and you know who did it, or if you are the creator, let me know so I can give you credit, because this was a really fun one to do. Thanksgiving is probably like my second favorite holiday though. I really love getting together with my family and drinking a little bit too much and cooking all day and it being like a frantic rush to get all the food done. And I have to say, I love like every single Thanksgiving dish except for maybe like sweet potato hot dish or pie or however your family does it. I don't like sweet potatoes, but other than that, I love fucking green bean casserole. I love the way I do turkey, at least. I love mashed potatoes. I could drink gravy out of a gravy boat. And everything about Thanksgiving is just so fun, and I love it. So, anyways, I have this awful cough. So, this is the Thanksgiving book tag, and now I'm looking into it. So, number one is Bread. What book is purely fluff and has no real plot line? I went with Twice Blessed by Patricia Wallace for this one. I wouldn't say it's purely fluff, but it had like no real plot line. It was a book about like twins who can like communicate with each other like telepathically or something like that. They have like telekinetic powers, and one twin doesn't want to use his like powers anymore, and the other twin gets upset and makes him walk in front of a car. And then there's just like no real plotline from there. It's like this kid's in the hospital and I like nothing fucking happened in this book. It took me so long to read it because it was like this is just going nowhere, nothing's happening. Number two is Turkey. What book made you want to fall asleep? And I know this is much beloved by some people, but I disliked 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is just a really long like family history novel, and it was a little bit confusing because there's like some magical realism and a lot of the characters are named after their ancestors. So you're like not, sometimes I at least wasn't sure if like, is this person or is it like this dead person? I don't know. Not one of my favorites. This was before I really valued the time I gave books. So if I had started this nowadays, well, I'm not sure, maybe I would like it now. Maybe, I don't know. But definitely if I read this now, I think I would probably have DNF'd it, which I didn't do when I read this. So this one was a snoozer for me. Number three is Gravy. What book makes the whole series worth reading? And for this one, I went with this chunker. A Storm of Swords by George R. R. Martin. This is the third book in the Game of Thrones series. The first two books were good, but this is the one where I like really started falling in love with the series. And actually like I don't know, the fourth, I understand why the fourth book was the way it was, because not everything can be action, especially when it's a very political book with lots of scheming. Like you need to set people up in certain places and have certain like maybe not so exciting things happen. But this one was so good. It's very long, but this is definitely where the series took a turn for me and became something that it's like, I'm not reading them just to see if they get better, you know? It's like, I like this and I want to keep reading this. Okay, number 4 is Stuffing. What book is stuffed full of action? I picked The Sorrows by Jonathan Janz for this, and although I didn't really love this book, I think that Jonathan Janz writes really great action scenes, and it's like watching a movie. And I don't know how he does it. It's just very good. And not that this whole book was full of action, but all the books I've read of his so far have had really well-written action scenes. Number 5, Mashed Potatoes. What looked good and then wasn't? And I'm like curious why this is mashed potatoes, because mashed potatoes look good and they taste good. So why are we maligning them like this? But for this one, I picked Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This is like, I don't know if this like could be maybe considered an adult fantasy book, maybe a little leaning more toward YA, but this is like a Russian-inspired book where there is an orphan named Nadia, maybe? See, I just like don't, yeah, Nadia. And she's like been given these powers by the saints. And this cover is so beautiful, and it tricked me. This tricked me because I read this and it was not very good at all. And I expected so much more. The plot was very thin for me. The characters were very transparent for me, and I was like overall disappointed. Like, this might be one of the most disappointing books I read in 2019. It's such a beautiful cover. It looks so good. It's fucking gorgeous, and then just not good inside for me. I had to change my battery, but I'm back. Okay, number 6. What book has the sweetest romance? This one was a little bit hard for me to answer. Just because I don't read a lot of books where there is like a, what am I trying to say? That are very like the plot is the romance, you know what I mean? So then a lot of the romances don't tend to be like super, I don't know. You don't spend a lot of time on the romance, so it's like hard to get involved with it, which is mostly fine by me. But once in a while I do like a good book with a romance in it. Recently I read A House at the Bottom of a Lake by Josh Malerman. This is a super tiny novella about a, what are their names? About 2 teens. Their names are Amelia and James, and they go out for their first date and they decide to go canoeing, and while they're canoeing they find a house at the bottom of like a hidden lake. This is just so sweet, and you can, it's like their romance kind of involves this house though, which makes it a little bit interesting, I guess, because it's not like an A and B conversation. It's like A, B, and then C, the house, which is yeah, it just brings a different dynamic to it. And this was really nice. It was a really nice book, kind of creepy and foreboding at parts, but very sweet and nice. And I would definitely recommend this, especially if, you know, you need a shorter book at some point. Okay, number 7 is Corn. What is the corniest book you've ever read? I also had a hard time on this one a little bit, but I think, I don't know if this is like corny necessarily, but Horrorstor was so cheeky. And the part that really got me was, this is set up to be kind of like an IKEA catalog. It's for a store called Orsk. And at the beginning of each chapter, let me see if I can find one, they have models of, you know, furniture and home appliances and stuff like that. And they all have very strange names. But like as the book goes on, they start to look more like torture instruments and have funnier names. Like one was like Smegma, which is hilarious. Let me see if I can find that one. I don't know, it's just funny and clever. Anyways, they're funny. There's one called Grady, and it's just a gurney. But like I said, I wouldn't necessarily say corny, but definitely cheeky. Okay, number 8 is Green Beans. What book is too long and needs to be shortened? And immediately, The Talisman by Stephen King came to mind. This is a book about a really freaking long road trip, and I remember being like halfway and I'm like, okay, I like this, and then it's like, oh wait, I'm only halfway and nothing has happened, and what's going to happen? Nothing has happened, and I'm only halfway, and this is a really long book, and it was very long, and it definitely could have been edited down by probably a couple hundred pages, but like, some people really like it, so I don't know. I just thought it was too long to like really like. I don't know. Number 9 is Pumpkin Pie. What book do you read to get out of a reading slump? And I didn't have a specific answer for this one, just because there's not one book I go to for that. Usually if I'm in a reading slump, I try to take a break from reading because I don't find that pushing myself to read more helps that. And then when I'm ready to start reading again, if I've finished a book and I'm in a reading slump, I tend to pick something that's like shorter because like I don't want to regress into a reading slump. So I would definitely recommend like a novella, something like a graphic novel, or like a manga. I don't know, something that will zip by quickly for you. I think I tend to stay away from a series and like long books when I'm in a reading slump. So I don't know. That kind of answers the question, I guess. Number 10 is thanks. What book series are you most thankful for? I think probably the token answer for this would be Harry Potter. And definitely that is a great series that got a lot of people into reading. The one that I am most thankful for is the Eragon series by Christopher Paolini. I started the first book when I was in 7th grade, and I don't know, I just had some shit going on with my parents, so it was really good. And at that point I was living with my dad, who heavily censored all sorts of media, which was almost like culture shock after living with my mom, who was very liberal with stuff like that. Being a reader, my dad was also very religious, so it was like anything that was slightly even a little bit spooky was like a no-go, because they were, like I said, it was like, they're like, you can't watch horror movies because demons will get into the house, kind of like almost crazy, fanatic religious. So they didn't even let me, like, I remember renting Aberrat from the library when I was that age, and I didn't even know who the fuck Clive Barker was. I just saw a book with an interesting cover, and it was about a girl named Candy Quackenbush or something like that, and I was like, oh. And I brought it home, and immediately they were like, no, bring this back immediately. They like made me keep it in the car even. It was so fucking nuts. So finding the Eragon series, being able to like be allowed to read it and loving it so much and using it as kind of an escape from the situation I was in was probably, yeah, it was, I can't even put into words like how much that helped my tiny person brain. And this was, I know a lot of people have qualms with maybe the quality of the writing, and maybe the author borrowed some ideas from other more well-known works of fantasy, but being that age, I didn't pick up on that. I loved it so much. And this is one of the most beloved series for me. That is the Thanksgiving book tag. And that's what I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you've done any book tag like this, I guess, that like, you know, revolves around American Thanksgiving, or if you've done this book tag, because I don't know, honestly, I don't know how old it is. Has it been making the rounds? Let me know though, because I'd love to watch your videos. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you guys later.